back in 2010, I came across a book that was really useful to my training in jiu-jitsu, and pretty much everywhere else. But the book was called Talent is Overrated by Jeff Colvin. I'll put the link down below for you if you're interested. But I came across this book. I was randomly walking through a bookstore. I like to do that from time to time. I like to just kind of go through a bookstore and kind of just look through things and see if I find anything I like. I saw the book, read a little bit of it, liked it, took it home and started to go through it. And what was interesting is the book had a lot of ideas on practice, which I was then able to implement into the gym. And a lot of them intuitively made a lot of sense to me because they were already things that I was doing sort of just by trial and error. I just hadn't put a name on it. But there was an idea that Jeff talked about in the book called deliberate training. And deliberate training was in contrast to mindless training. And basically, deliberate training is a training where you really have to put a lot of focus in. It's intense, it's exhausting, that kind of thing. And I believe one of the examples he used in the book was, if you were playing a song, let's say that there was like a stretch of maybe 20 seconds of that song that gave you a lot of trouble, but the rest of the song was a breeze. Well, instead of just playing through music and things like that, you might focus on the challenging parts of that song, so this way you can get better at them and improve in those areas. This way everything else becomes a little bit easier rather than just playing music just to play. And again, that's going to require a lot of attention because it's difficult. And this is something where in jiu-jitsu itself can become very mindless at times. Some of you guys may not be there yet, but over time, as you get better and better and better, when you do repetitive things, and a lot of jiu-jitsu is very repetitive, your body pushes that stuff into automaticity. Those movements become automated. You don't think about them. Like, I can literally roll like this. So when you're actually using the positions, like butterfly is one of my best positions here, and I can literally fight this without even having to look or really concentrate on it. Now, if I was to play a different position that's not as drilled or as technical as that position, then I'm gonna have to be more focused. Now again, I know I'm just kind of joking there with Adam, but I mean, I can roll like that sometimes. If I'm rolling for my best positions, or with my best moves, I can roll to the point where everything's happening automatically, and I'm literally thinking or doing other stuff. But the minute that I change to positions I'm not so good with, or into situations where I'm not as effective or haven't been there as much, or if I'm really just focused in on something, the dynamic of the roll completely changes. But this idea of deliberate practice has been really useful to me. It was something I had to implement when I was a black belt training with a bunch of blue belts so that I could get better. And what I figured I would do in this video is basically take you guys through a few ideas that you can throw into your own rolling, your own practice. Now, I've done this video in a way where even if you don't have control of the rolling, even if you don't have a ton of time for drilling, or even if you don't want to drill, because I know a lot of people, they don't like drilling, then what you can do is you can implement some of these ideas of deliberately rolling in your gym, and I think you'll get a lot of benefit from it. Because again, a lot of these were things that I would do personally to get a lot of bang for my buck with my training. And again, there is a time to be mindless and just step in the mats with the idea of turning your brain off. But if you're actively trying to get better at something, or if you're, I'll tell you like this, if you get into a plateau and you feel like you're not getting any better, then these ideas will definitely be helpful to you. So let's go and jump on over to the mat, and then Adam and I are going to show you how to do these rolling ideas with deliberate training mixed into it. One of the first things you can do, because I know a lot of people don't really like to drill, and then a lot of people don't have extra time to drill, is rolling with a very specific purpose to your gym. So it's easy to walk into the gym and just kind of like turn off your brain and just kind of go through the motions and just kind of go with the flow, right? And then a lot of times what ends up happening is you end up doing the same stuff over and over and over again, just because it comes easier. When you want to specifically work on something, then you have to really focus in on that thing. So one of the things that I used to do this was like the trick that I use as a black belt to get better back in the day when Adam and all the other guys were blue belts. So basically it was a black belt with blue belts to train with, and I had to get better. I would always go on the mat and have a specific technique or position that I was working on. So if I'm thinking like I'm hitting this reverse arm lock, well then maybe I start off by simply trying to get the post. Then I can attack this here. I'm not going to try to go for a triangle setup. I'm not going to go do the other stuff. I'm going to try to hit that reverse arm lock. And then maybe as I get better at it, I'm like, well, let's see if I can do it for my half guard. So then again, I start to catch it here, boom, catch into the position. Even from the top, I'm going to be constantly looking for that reverse arm lock. Maybe it's not even a submission or sweep or a guard pass. Maybe it's a particular position that you're trying to work from. Like let's say for instance, when I was trying to get better at my half guard, what I would do is every single day I stepped on the mat, I would always try to play in here and get down to this low position to try to get there. That was my first goal. And anytime I try to add in a new position, I always step on the mat first with my entries and try to work on that stuff first before I add in the submissions or whatever. But one of the simplest things you guys can do to really deliberately train and improve your game is simply step on the mat with an actual goal rather than just stepping on the mat and just kind of going with whatever happens. Positional rolling's pretty self-explanatory, but basically you want to work on again, I always think of it this way. You're either going to make the things that you're really good at better, or you're going to fix the gaps that you have in your game. So for instance, situational rolling right here is an example where we slap hands, boom, boom. I'm going to try to pass Adam's guard. He's going to try to sweep or submit me. If I pass his guard, boom. I'm going to restart. If he sweeps me over, good, we restart. That would be a good example of positionally rolling to improve his guard game, improve my passing game. But you could also do it from somewhere else. Maybe you really suck at side controls. Side controls is plural. Suck at side control. Then we can start in side control here. And again, he can try to escape, and I can try to sort of hold this position or submit him. One of the things I did years ago, take my back real quick. Years ago, I was, one of my buddies, Jason Keaton, used to train here as a black belt. Jason and I, we had sort of opposing positions. He was really good from the side control, and I was really good from back mount. So what we would do is when we would drill, there's a train, boop, boop, I would start in the position where Adam is. I would try to hold his back the whole time, and then he would start in side control. And when we did that, I built up my ability to escape side control, and he built up his ability to escape back mount. And we would just, repeatedly do that position over and over again, usually on Sundays for like an hour or two. And so one of those things where when you start rolling, you can go and just roll just like that and just do whatever you want to do and just kind of see what happens. But if there's something specifically that you need to work on and focus on, then positional sparring, positional rolling can be a really great tool to add to your rolling game. All right, guys, another thing you can do is you can try to roll from your weak side. So for instance, I've been doing a lot of this recently where, again, my half guard typically, like most people, is strong with my left arm up. That's most people's strong side. So what I've been doing recently is I wanted to get my weak side half guard going, so I've been playing with my right arm up. And again, it's a bit of a struggle here. But again, we all want to be strong from both sides, but a lot of times what happens is most people don't take the time to actually roll from these positions because, which this has happened, like when I started first playing my weak side, everybody's passing, they're giving me a hell of a lot of trouble, the sweeps don't work as smoothly, I'm not as effective, and it's so easy to simply say, screw it, I'm gonna go back to here. But again, that can be a really good way to add something new into your game, because I can tell you that from experience, sometimes you'll be in a situation where when you play your strong side against a person, their strong side passing beats your strong side guard position. Whereas if you're pretty good at the weak side, a lot of times that weak side, they don't have as much experience there. And so sometimes you might find that your weak side's better than their weak side, and you can take advantage of that. So one of the things that you can do with your game if you're really trying to get better is to maybe take the techniques that you're already using that are already effective and just try them on the opposite side with the opposite side foot forward or whatever it is. A lot of times it's easy to work on the offense and things like that, but sometimes it's not so easy to work on the escapes. And also, you don't want to necessarily always step on the mat and say, hey man, can you load up and side control me? So another thing you can do is you can let people put you in positions or purposely sort of lead them into positions. I do this a lot of times with like lower belts where it gives me a chance to get some reps in from worse positions, and it gives them a chance to be offensive. So a great example of this is, let's say that Adam was not a black belt. Let's say he was like a blue belt or something like that, and again, when I'm rolling with him, I might give him a stiff defense, but then as he passes, boom, I'm gonna let him pass and get to side control here. If I was trying to work my side control position, maybe if I wanted to work my back escapes, I might turtle up to give him the opportunity to go, boom, and then work from here. But the idea is that when you're rolling with your partners, one of the things you can do is you don't always have to do it positionally. You can just kind of like guide them through. Because again, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to have the actual chance to always control the training in your gym. So one of the things you can do if you want to work on your escapes, like your side control mount or back mount, give those people the opportunity. Don't tell them you're going to do it. Just let them come in and then give yourself a chance to actually work the escapes. Now again, it's tough to do because again, nobody likes being smashed in side control. Nobody likes being put in back mount. But again, it can be really helpful to you because it would be better for you to, if you're a competitor, it would be better to do this in the gym than inside the competition mat. And again, even for some of you guys, if it's something where you have some uncomfortableness I don't know, is comfortableness a word? I don't think so. If you have some discomfort from those positions, it probably means you need to work from them more often. So that's one more tip that you can throw into the mix. All right, guys, one more that you can throw into the mix is having your partner mimic a particular style. Now, again, you would probably, for most of you guys, you would have to do this on open mat time, but I know I probably have a few coaches out there watching. So again, this is something I did. So years ago, here's an example, just sort of you can sort of take away. Years ago, I was going up against a guy who I knew I actually had lost a match to him previously, and he had a really good guard, pulled a full guard, and his full guard was really, really nasty. I didn't want to be in there. So I had Chad, when he was here training, you know, super tall, lanky guy, pulls guard really well. Basically, we would do round after round of him trying to pull guard and me trying to pass right off the guard pull. And so what would happen is we would get in position here, and you know, we would be going like full on rolling, right? But again, that was the whole focus was just doing that. And he would go to pull, boom, and I would just pass right off the bat here. And again, what was neat was we did this for several weeks leading up to the competition. When I went to the competition, that actually happened. So the guy pulls guard, boom, I pass right off the bat, get my points, and I ended up doing really well in the match and ended up winning and beating a guy who had beaten me before. So again, one of the things you can do is if you have any control of it, you can have your partners mimic someone that you have trouble with, or even if there's a particular style that you have trouble with dealing with, go pick that person out in the gym more often than not. But again, that's one more tip that you can throw into the mix with your roll. So obviously that's not all the different options that you could possibly come up with. I mean, there's a ton of different ways that you could do it to deliberately focus on something, but I think the message is clear from the video. It's something you guys should definitely try to. Again, there's a time to come into the gym, there's a time to just kind of go with the flow and just kind of turn off your brain, let out steam from the day, that kind of stuff. I get it, but if you're actually trying to actively get better at jiu-jitsu, you have to add a little bit of focus into your game. Otherwise, you're gonna step on the mat and you're gonna miss any opportunity for improvement. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I'm finished. Adam.